Hi, welcome to Mennonite Farmhouse. I'm Leanne, and if you're new to my channel, I do cooking and baking from scratch, canning and dehydrating videos. That sort of thing interests you, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload my next video. Today, we're going to make spaghetti sauce without the meat from the National Center for Food Home Preservation's hand booklet. It's on 315, but if you don't have this book, I'll link the website's link in the description box down below. This recipe has onions, peppers, and mushrooms, which is like when I had to go buy store-bought sauce, that is what I looked for when I bought a jar of sauce. Can you believe the prices on spaghetti sauce nowadays? It's like $3 or $4 just for, I don't even know what size container you get. But this probably cost me $3 for the mushrooms for 11 jars, and I had everything else on hand. So let's get to it and save us some money on making spaghetti sauce for your pantry. First, you want to wash your tomatoes, then we're going to weigh them, and we need 30 pounds of whole tomatoes. Great, we have our tomatoes prepped and ready to go to be put into the boiling water. Then we're going to dump them into the cold ice bath. Then we're going to peel them, then pour them into this pot. Okay, so we're going to put the tomatoes in the boiling water a few at a time because you don't want the temperature of the boiling water to go down to a simmer. And it's only going to take 30 to 60 seconds if the tomatoes are ripe enough for the skins to want to peel off. Then we're going to put them in our ice cold bath here. We're going to bring our tomato out of the ice bath over the garbage pail here and peel it and quarter them. And just put it into our pot to go back on the stove. Then on the stove, we're going to simmer it for 20 minutes until they're soft. Okay, according to our instructions, we need 1 cup of chopped onions, 5 cloves of garlic. I'm only going to use 4 just because they're pretty big. 1 cup of bell peppers and a pound of fresh mushrooms. That is optional. We need to get that all prepped up. When prepping bell peppers, I always want to make sure I get that white pith off the insides of the bell peppers. I love my vegetable chopper, especially for canning. It makes large quantities go so much faster. When washing mushrooms, you want to make sure you're using a gentle stream of water and make sure you're washing them right before you use them and maybe pat them dry to get the excess water off them since they're mostly water to begin with. All right, we're going to slice the mushrooms with quick slice here. I used this the last time I canned mushrooms and made the job a lot easier. Into a large saucepan, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, which if you don't want to put it in, don't put it in. It's only if desired. If the National Center for Food and Preservation allows it to be in the recipe, it's been tested safe. But you don't have to add it if you don't want to. Next, we're going to add our 1 cup of diced onions, 1 cup of diced bell peppers, 5 cloves of garlic that have been minced, and the 1 pound of sliced mushrooms. And that is optional. You do not have to put mushrooms in if you're not a mushroom person. But we love mushrooms, so they're going in. And now you want to cook this on medium-high heat until they're tender, about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so I need to figure out how much volume I need to reduce my spaghetti sauce down to. So I'm going to pour this to an inch head space 9 times. Then we'll measure to figure out where it will be hitting on my chopstick here. So that's 1. Oops. 2. And 9. So I'll stick my flat side of my skewer down in the center there. And it keeps hopping up and down. So maybe we'll wait till it settles a little bit. Then we'll mark it. There we go. That way we'll know where we're at with 9 pints. And we want to cook these till tender, which I think we're there. So about 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll turn that off. While the tomatoes are simmering on the stove for about 20 minutes, we're going to put the food mill together. I have a KitchenAid, which I despise just because it's so messy. And here's a tip. Use vegetable oil on the piece that goes inside your KitchenAid so it doesn't make horrible sounds. Ask me how I know. It does. And that's what my husband tells me to do. Just put cooking oil on it because it's food grade. I can probably put this food strainer together with my eyes closed. I've used this so many times in my canning, and I highly recommend getting a food strainer. I think this one's a little messy, so maybe a Vittorio strainer is my next purchase if this thing conks out. I love it for tomatoes and apples and pears. I love making pear sauce with this too. Okay, so we have our juice back on the stove, and we're going to add our vegetables that we sauteed till tender. And we'll just get those back in the pot. We'll add our 1/4 cup of brown sugar, packed, 4½ teaspoons of salt, 4 tablespoons of parsley, 2 tablespoons of oregano, and 2 teaspoons of freshly ground black pepper. We'll bring it to a boil, simmer uncovered until thick enough for serving. At the time, the initial volume has been reduced by nearly 1/2. Stir frequently to avoid burning. Alright, now that we brought this to a boil, we're going to reduce to a simmer and make sure it reduces by 1/2. And stirring occasionally so it doesn't burn. I'm using my pot stirrer that my husband engineered and made me, which I am loving so far this canning season. It's made ketchup and pizza sauce, spaghetti sauce, a dream to be done in several hours. It took maybe 3 hours to reduce this pot. All right. It is almost there. Before I get to canning, we need to fill up our canner with 3 quarts of water, and I'm going to replace my sealing ring and my overpressure plug. So I just want to turn this over, pull that out. These should be replaced at least every 2 years or 3, depending on how much you can. But you will know if it leaks too much that you need to replace it. And there's no special instructions, so I'm guessing you just put it on. And before you start canning, you want to make sure you look through your vent pipe bowl, make sure that's clear so you don't have any obstructions while you're producing your steam. And the plug's still in the bag. All right. So let's put the water in. I have my station set up. I got my paper towels. I got my lids that I wash in hot soapy water. My bands that I keep on a paper towel holder. My canning funnel. My debubbler. My scoop. And my jar lifter. So let's get to filling jars. When I pressure can, I keep my jars in my sink where they'll stay nice and hot with the hottest water possible without scalding myself. We need an inch headspace. So I'm gonna put my funnel over there and debubble and measure my headspace. And debubble again. Then we're going to take our towel and wipe our rim. And put our lid on and our band and place it in the canner. Debubble. Check your headspace. Debubble. Gonna wipe the rim. I'm gonna put our four-door lid on and put our band on, just fingertip tight. I guess I should taste it before I finish canning it, huh? It's sweet. And it tastes like tomatoes. I taste the onion and the bell pepper. Not sure if I taste the garlic, but it is very good. And using a lid with a new gasket is like using a brand new canner. And on my stove, I use a level 6 or medium-high heat and wait for the steam to come to a steady stream. Don't want any breaks of air like you see here. Once you see a steady stream of steam coming out for 10 minutes, you can put your jiggler on top. And once your jiggler is rocking and rolling, you need to gently back it down to where it's going to do a nice hula dance back and forth. And only then is when you start your timer for your processing. I'm going to be processing this for 20 minutes according to the guidelines. Let's talk about altitude for a minute. If you're using a dial gauge canner like this, and if you are between sea level and 2,000 feet, you'll need to make sure your needle is at 11 pounds of pressure. If you live between 2,001 feet and 4,000 feet, you'll need to have your needle at 12 pounds of PSI. If your altitude is 4,001 feet to 6,000 feet, your needle will need to be at 13 pounds. And if you're at 6,001 feet to 8,000 feet, you'll need to have your PSI needle at 14 pounds of pressure. If you're using a weighted gauge canner and you live between sea level and 1,000 feet, you'll just need a 10-pound weight. And if you're above 1,000 feet, you'll need a 15-pound weight on your canner. And since the timer's going off for the 20 minutes, I'm just going to shut off the heat to my canner and let it come down naturally from pressure. And when the plug drops in the front, you time 10 minutes before you take your weight off. I add another 5 minutes and slowly take the lid and just let it on top of the canner to slowly bring the canner down from temperature. And now that the 5 minutes is up, I'm going to slowly take my lid off and we're going to take the jars out of the canner. These jars took at least 5 minutes to seal, but they all sealed. And make sure the next day that you take the bands off and wash them good with soapy water with vinegar and label them and put them in a cool jar spot until you're ready to have some pasta. If you've made it this far into the video, I am sure you're loving the content of this channel. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for more great content. And may I suggest you watching this next? Take care and God bless.